And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today it is game day, and we are doing a final game day preview as the Washington Commanders get set to take on the Detroit Lions on the road in this divisional game. And so, before we jump into just, I think, some key takeaways for this game and really what the Washington Commanders are going to have to do to get this win, let's start with the key inactives for this game. And so, for us, I think you could tell the number one key inactive in this game is going to be Chris Rodriguez Jr. And so, look, I think that the Washington Commanders really rely on the running game. I've said this countless times on the channel that the Washington Commanders, in my opinion, their identity is running the football. Chris Rodriguez Jr. certainly brings that punch to us. And I think really outside of Brian Robinson Jr. and, Jeremy McNichols, I think that Chris Rodriguez Jr. really runs with a lot of power. And so, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, that leaves us now with Brian Robinson Jr. We're going to have Jeremy McNichols, and we also have Austin Eckler. And so that is going to be key to this game, is winning in the run game. Then next up, you can see that we're not going to have KJ Osborne out there. Again, he's inactive. And so we know what the situation is at the wide receiver position for us. We know what it's been since we've lost Noah Brown. Obviously, we've had various players step up, whether it's been Zacchaeus, De'Ami Brown, Zach Ertz, you name it. There's been various players that have stepped up, and so that is certainly going to be a key in this game, but we'll see how it plays out. Key inactives here for the Detroit Lions. You're going to see that they do not have their guard, Kevin Zedler. Hopefully I said that correctly, at guard. So starting guard, he's going to be inactive. So that is key. And then they also do not have Pat O'Connor, defensive end. So that could maybe be something major to look for in this game. And so let's go ahead and jump into really, just some of the keys to this game, what it's going to take for the Washington Commanders to go out there and get this win on the road in Detroit. And so we're going to break it down into the basics, and we're going to start with the defense. And so starting with the defense and looking at this, look, first, the Detroit Lions like to score a lot of points. In fact, they were first with 33.2 points per game. And so we know that they put up a lot of points. I've been talking about this really throughout the week, that the Detroit Lions really like to attack your defense in so many different ways. They try to get you undisciplined. They try to get you with misdirection. But more importantly, they try to get you by really taking the top off of your defense. They're going to try to press our defense with the wide receivers that they have, and understandably so. And so what does this mean for us? So defensively, for our team against the pass, we are third. And so we have had a very good success rate as far as defending the pass. And I think that once we added Marshawn Lattimore, I think that really allowed our defense to go a little bit more into some man coverage. And I think that is certainly what we're going to see in this game. And that means that Marshawn Lattimore, look, I know that, it might have been a tough game against Mike Evans. And I think that the bottom line in that is that, yes, Mike Evans made plays. Yes, he is going to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver. But I also really liked some of the things that I saw from Marshawn Lattimore. I'm super excited for him now that he's had a full week of practice. I think that the rust is off, and I think he's going to be ready to go, and he's going to need to be ready to go, because when we put Marshawn Lattimore back there, we immediately had the confidence to, go and have Mikey Samra still opposite of him. And so that means that both of these corners are going to be tested by St. Brown. And then you also, too, have Jamison Williams. And so it is going to be our ability when we're in man coverage to not let the Detroit Lions get behind us and really take the top off of this defense and try to get this Detroit Lions team to be a bit more one-dimensional. So that is going to be huge. I think that is going to be a key here, is can we get some elite level performance in the secondary? We've had a pretty good showing thus far this season. We're really going to need to lean on it today. Next up, another thing defensively, staying with it, and this has really been the theme, I think, for the last couple weeks and really throughout the season, is that the Washington Commanders have notably struggled against the run. We know that. But this is what I will say about the Washington Commanders. I mean, you look at the numbers. They were 30th coming into this. They are the worst ranked defensive team against the run in the playoffs, but they do not play like that in critical moments. I'll say that again. The Washington Commanders defense does not necessarily play like that in critical moments. They've been able to really shut down Saquon Barkley in the second half. They've shut down Bijan Robinson. And I think that they did a very good job against Bucky Irvin last week, even though they gave up 100 yards. And so this team certainly knows when it is time to tighten up. The key is, can this team put it together for 60 minutes of really going out there and getting in the backfield, meeting these runners before they get started, making sure that you are, getting good tackles on these players, making sure that they are not escaping these arm tackles, because we know that they do have David Montgomery back. They also have, Gibbs, who is going to be a huge factor. He actually, I think, was tied in touchdowns this year. And you have, two potent rushers that can get outside the pocket, or not outside the pocket, but if you don't give it to them, they're also dangerous in the pass game as well. And so, look, with Gibbs, this is what I'm going to say, and I think this is why it could get interesting and maybe play into the favor of the Washington Commanders, because, look, Gibbs has averaged right around 6 yards a carry. In fact, he's rushed for 365 yards and 5 touchdowns since Montgomery went down. Now, Montgomery is coming back in this game. And so that might work out in the Washington Commanders' favor, because Montgomery might be taking snaps away from Gibbs. And so, look, if you've been working with Gibbs as your main back, all of a sudden that you change up that chemistry, that could play a factor in this game, and it might play into the hands of the Commanders. And so either way, the Commanders are going to have to stay disciplined. Don't get out of your running lanes. Don't get hit with these side blocks. You cannot let them get you to where you're out of position and they're getting to the second level, because they will really cause havoc on our defense. And so next up, going into, I think, another key into this game, it's going to be the Washington Commanders' ability on offense to really stay on the field. I think that is going to be critical. I cannot say that enough. That is one thing that the Washington Commanders have really done well this year, is they have dominated in the time of possession. In fact, when they win that, they have a winning record. So we saw that last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the ability to really dominate the clock. And I think that is what the Washington Commanders are going to have to do, because we know the Detroit Lions like to dominate with pace as well. Both teams, we like to go for fourth down tries, just like the Detroit Lions. And so we know it is going to be a back and forth affair. I don't even know if the punters are going to punt in this game, but we'll see what happens. But bottom line, the Washington Commanders must go out and they must dominate in the time of possession. And that means that you have got to stay ahead of the sticks. In fact, when we look at the Washington Commanders on third down, they are ranked 6th in the league as far as those conversions. So very good there. And then when you look at the Detroit Lions, they are 4th. And so it's going to be which offense is able to really stay on the field and really wear out the other team's defense. And so I think the Commanders do have an advantage here. I know we don't have Chris Rodriguez Jr., but this is why you go out and you get a player like Austin Eckler. You bring these veterans over like Jeremy McNichols, because in these times, they know exactly what to do in playoff football. And so we are going to really seriously need to lean in on these players. We're going to need to establish the run. Obviously, as we're doing that, that's going to set up a lot of different things that we want to do as far as play action fakes. Maybe we're faking in on these RPOs. And that's also going to open up some of the things in between the numbers for Ertz, Zacchaeus, De'Ami Brown, even Jamison Crowder, who might get some action too as well. We're going to have to stay on the field, continue this pace. And so the next thing offensively is that we do have our full offensive line out here. We just talked about that with the key inactive. So that is going to be critical. Why is that critical? Because the Detroit Lions like to blitz at a high rate. And the great thing about this is That is, if our offensive line is able to give Jaden Daniels some time, it suggests that Jaden Daniels is absolutely going to win. In fact, right now he is second in the league when it comes down to going against the blitz with his pass rating of 90.4. And he's also got 12 touchdowns to 1 INT against the blitz this year, which all those numbers combined puts him at 6th in the league. And so, look, Jaden Daniels, very efficient against the blitz. We know his composure. He does not get rattled. So it is buying time for our rookie quarterback to really pick apart these Detroit Lions. And so lastly, as we kind of look at just, some of these stats that really kind of stick out and some of the things to kind of look for, one of the things that I'm going to say that we should definitely take a look at is that the Washington Commanders also, on defense, they've gotten 47 sacks. And so that is actually a pretty good number. And so that suggests too, going back to my first point, that if the Washington Commanders are able to defend well in the secondary, we have a chance to get home against Jared Goff. And that can really change the course of the football game, because remember, I just talked about time of possession and staying ahead with the sticks. You're certainly going to create some negative plays, and you would create negative plays by not necessarily calling blitzes. So that could be an X factor for us. And then next up, with the Washington Commanders, another X factor as far as offensively, the Detroit Lions are pretty terrible when it comes to guarding running quarterbacks. They're giving up 6.2 yards per carry to running quarterbacks. And so that suggests that if we're able to get Jaden Daniels to extend the play, I think we can win right there, especially even if people get home, if Jaden Daniels can really turn the corner, we can get a win. So anyway, I like the Commanders in this as usual, and we will be talking about this after the game. So make sure that you go ahead, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys after the game. And as we always say, go Commanders. I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.